The train revisited. Sneha woke to the hiss of a filtered air and the slow blink of pale blue lights. A glass canopy of arched over her like a sleeping insect's sail, and the slender metallic coils hugged her temples with a clinical tenderness that made her skin crawl. She tried to sit up, but the machine protested with a soft chime, easing her to stillness. A face leaned into view, familiar, almost painfully so. Amit. He had Amit's eyes, that same tired kindness, but older. As with a depth she couldn't place, easy, he said softly, "Don't rush it. Coming out can feel disorienting." The canopy lifted with a whisper, cold air brushed her cheeks. Her tongue felt dry as if she had swallowed dust. Where am I? Her voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. Chrysalis suit, Unit 7, he said, glancing at a wristband. That pulse with green, Central Therapeutics, City Sector Delta. He managed a smile. The year is 2046. Something in her chest faltered. Her last clear memory was black water and wind, the old man's voice threading the roar of the river. Jump and the world will change. She tasted fear like iron. The train, the bridge. The door slid open with a hush. The old man stepped in. Not ancient now, but ageless, dressed in a slate fabric that held the room's light without reflecting it. His eyes were the same, soft, watchful, unsettling, patient. "Hello, Sneha," he said. Her throat tightened. "You?" He nodded to the machine she had emerged from. "That was the immersion module. You have been in a layered virtual construct for therapeutic integration. We needed a narrative, a structure resilient enough to hold your grief without breaking you." He folded his hands. "It chose a train." A tremor moved through her limbs. "Chose?" "Your mind," he said gently. "We scaffolded, you built." Amit. No, not Amit. Someone wearing his kindness like a bridge between worlds pulled a chair closer. "The accident?" he said carefully. 3 years ago, your son, Arin." The name shattered the room. In an instant, the fog parted. A little hand that wouldn't warm. A pair of shoes by the door that never moved again. A folded drawing of a red sun, the screaming silence after. Sneha curled over her knees, vision burning. He is gone, she whispered. "He is gone." "Yes," the old man said. No apology, no denial, just the contour of truth placed gently in her hands. Amit's hand hovered near hers and then found it warm, steady. "You tried to leave," he said, voice breaking around the edges. 6 months after, we have been working to bring you back to yourself, piece by piece." "The haunted trains," he said, breathtaking, "the bridge, the town, all of it." "An architecture," the old man said. "Your grief made it vivid, your memory made it convincing, and your love made it survivable. A liminal place where loss could be seen from several angles without swallowing you whole." She blinked hard, anger rising like old smoke. "So none of it was real." He considered this and then shook his head. "Pain that is felt is real. Meanings that anchor the heart are real. The forms they take are negotiable." He gestured toward the module. "But yes, the parrots, the bridge, the yearly arrival, the choice at the span, all symbolic scaffolds to help you decide whether to keep you breathing." "And jumping into the river?" she asked. The old man smiled, sad, proud, an act of return. Silence expanded, luminous, almost kind. On a screen across the room, soft notes of light drifted through an abstract landscape that pulsed in time with her heart. Sneha exhaled and watched each breath leave her like a small lantern. What happens now? She asked. Amit squeezed her fingers. Now we tell the truth slowly. We stitch days back together. You will have gaps. You may grieve in loops. That's loud. We will be here. The old man tapped the side of the module and a faint echo of waves hummed from within. We will taper the immersions and transition to surface work, he said. Journaling, guided recall, small tasks, garden light. The first month is for gentle muscles, trust, appetite, sleep. I don't know who I am without him, she said. You are the person who loved him, the old man replied, and the person who will carry him forward in ways that require oxygen. Tears slid warm down her face. They did not drown her. Days folded one into the other like slow hands in prayer. Morning tea that tasted more like a decision than a drink. A courtyard where ivy leaned the edges of glass. The whisper of drones overhead moving medical supplies between buildings. Their shadows brief, insect thin. She learned the schedule of the place, soft chimes at dawn, the city's low hum rising by mid-morning, evenings comfortable hush. She learned the people, the nurse who wore star pins, the quiet women who taught breathwork, the boy with a shaved head who always saved the window seat in the lounge for whoever needed it most. Sometimes the world buckled, she would glance at a reflection and see the train carries the old man's eyes, the river bruised with wind. When that happened, she pressed her palm to a wall and felt the building breathe with her. The wall always breathed back. One afternoon, Amit found her in the courtyard turning a small wooden toy in her hands, a spinning toy. Its paint chipped, its jar uneven. Orange, she said, smiling without breaking. He hated when it fell. Amit was the top stutter. Maybe falling was part of the game. She looked up. You talk like you know him. A pause. Wind moving through ivy. I know that what you lost, he said. And I know how love tries to keep speaking. She nodded and set the top spinning again. It wobbled, caught itself and circled, stubborn as a heartbeat. That night the old man visited her room with a thin slate tablet. A final immersion is recommended, he said. Not for rescue, but for ritual. His eyes flicked to hers. Not tricks, just closer. You will know its construct, it will know its farewell. She hesitated. Will there be a train? If you want, he said, or a river, or a park bench, or nothing at all but a voice. She thought of water and breezes and the way stories hold our hands when the dark is too loud. A platform, she said, home. The room went soft around the edges as they calibrated the environment. When the immersion took her, it was like walking into a memory that hadn't happened yet. She stood on a platform vast in afternoon gold. Pigeons made small, important decisions on the tiles. A child's laughter rang like a bell. She turned. He was there. Arin, hair a little too long, shoelaces never quite even, eyes wide as the first time he saw rain run sideways in a storm. He beamed when he saw her and she knelt, knees cracking like twills. Mama, he said, with that rising cadence he got when he was excited. The train is coming. She could have explained everything then, machines, ears, grief like weather, but the construct would only understand what it was built to hold. So she just touched his face. It was warm. It was made of light and memory and love, and it was enough. Do you hear it? He asked. She listened. Somewhere, a white, somewhere a river, somewhere a future that did not hurt as much as yesterday. I hear it, she said. I will walk you to the edge. They walked hand in hand to the yellow line a breeze lifted. He looked up serious suddenly, a little philosopher. Are you sad? Yes, he said, and I am brave. He nodded like that made perfect sense. Then it's okay. The train whooshed in, doors opening like a held breath released. He turned to run aboard, then stopped and threw his arms around her neck with fierceness that surprised them both. Love you, he said into her hair, always, he said. He climbed into the carriage, he found a seat, he waved, the doors closed. The train pulled away, gentle as a dream leaving a morning. She stood until the last carriage slipped from view, until the platform held only her and the promise of a quieter ache. When she opened her eyes in the chrysalis suit, the room felt larger. The old man sat quietly, a sentinel of the ordinary. Amit stood by the door, his smile small and real. Goodbye, she whispered, not to the machine, not to the past, but to the violence within the loss. The old man nodded once. Good work. Week later, on a day textured with sunshine, Sneha stepped beyond the clinic gates. The city of 2046 met her with soft architecture and trees grown like intentions, along with elevated walkways. Somewhere a tram purred, somewhere people laughed, somewhere a child cried and was comforted. She felt the edges of the world again, not as knives but as borders. At home, a small apartment high enough to see the river. She placed Arin's tops, a shelf where morning light could find it. In the evening, she brewed tea and left the window open for the dusk to come in like an old friend. Sometimes she dreamed of trains, but in the dreams they never fell. They arrived, they departed, they carried people who were late, people who were early, people who changed their minds at the last second and decided to wait for the next one. In the morning she would wake and turn the top and watch as it wobbled and found its center. Not all stories are true, the old man had once implied, but the ones that heal us don't need to be. They only need to open a door Sneha had walked through.